we're back. I'm really excited for today. We're playing the 1500 six max tournament. Lots of space at the table. I'm expecting a lot of action at the table as well. You get to play more hands when they're playing six-handed because you take out the tightest three positions, make it a six max game. It's a lot more fun in my opinion. You get to be involved in a lot more pots throughout the day. So let's get after it. I'm really pumped. I'm just feeling it today. I had a great day so far. Got all my healthy food packed, did some yoga, walked the dogs, just everything was going smoothly today. So I'm excited to continue that at the poker table. So let's go do it. My table seems great. The only person I recognize is fellow poker vlogger Johnny Vibes. He's two to my right. Nice to finally meet him in person. He was gracious enough to come introduce himself and offer to take pictures and video of me for B-roll at the table with his very fancy camera. So shout out to Johnny. Thanks, man. That was really much appreciated. He opens up in the low jack, which is the earliest position at a six max table, to 800. I'm in the cutoff with pocket jacks. I win a 3-bet this one to 2,500. The small blind cold calls. A little surprising, and Johnny comes along as well. So three ways we take it to the ace 7 rainbow flop. They check it all the way around to me, and either one of them can have an ace, so I'm gonna pot control this one and check it back. The turn is a 10 of hearts. When they both check a second time, a lot of draws pick up on this turn. Either one of them could have a 10 as well. So I want to get value and charge some of those draws. So I go for it. I bet 3,500. They both fold, and we take down a nice little pot to start off the day. Next time I'm in the cutoff, I get 6-5 of diamonds and raise it up to 800. The small blind has been very active so far. I've been here for about an hour now, and he makes it 2,200. Suited connectors this deep? Yes, please. I'm in. I toss in the call, and we go heads up to a flop of 10-7-3 all spades. He checks this over to me, and I'm gonna go a little bit bigger here just with my gut shot because I'm only gonna probably bet one time, take a stab at this, and try to win it right here. So I choose a size of 3,000. He snap folds. We take it down. On to the next one. We're only a few levels into this thing when the guy to my direct right busts out of the tournament and is replaced by none other than Justin freaking Bonomo, one of the most elite poker players, cream of the crop. I mean, I've played with good players in the past, but to be sitting next to someone who's super elite kind of made me nervous immediately, not gonna lie. The first hand we get involved with Justin, it's a three-way pot. We check it all the way down to the river, and I hold up with my pocket nines, and just taking in that small, no strategy pot against him kind of brought me back down to earth and reminded me, hey, this game, everybody gets 2 cards. Doesn't really matter how many millions you have. We get 2 cards, we see 5 more. That's it. Calm down. And with that mentality going forward, the next hand, he raises the button to 1,000 at 400 big blind. I have pocket fours and make the call in the small blind, and the big blind comes along as well. What do you know? We flop a set. Flop comes out queen 5-4, 2 diamonds, so there's a flush draw on board. Checks all the way to Justin. He bets 2,500, so on the larger side. He's been sitting at our table for about an hour, and I haven't played a lot of hands, and when I have, they've gotten to showdown. I've showed down good hands, so I think he perceives me as kind of a tighter player, and I didn't want to scare him off right away on the flop with a big raise. So I just made the call. Maybe my nerves actually did go into this decision a little bit. So I make the call, big blind's out of there. So Justin and I see the 8 of diamonds on the turn. Not a great one to see, and I check it over to him. He continues for 4,500 this time, obviously continuing. The river is the 6 of diamonds now. This board just got worse and worse. I got maximum punished for not raising flop. Check it over to him. He doesn't think too long before checking back. And when I announce
no diamonds,
it is good. And so somehow we still win the pot, but not really happy with my play in that one. All right, back in another hand with Johnny. He opens up the low jack to 1,200. I'm on the button with ace 10 of hearts. Beautiful hand. I'm gonna call and try to take a flop with him. We go heads up to king queen 5 rainbow no heart. He checks this one over to me, and with just a gutter, ace high, I think I could get some pairs under a queen to fold, and if I do happen to bink that gutter, I want to start building a pot now. So I throw out a pretty large bet of 2,500 into 3,700. He makes the call, heads up to a turn. We see the 10 of clubs. Some backdoor flush draws come in, and I make a pair. It's third pair to the board though, so I'm not too confident in it, but when he checks it to me, I think I should just check back and see what happens on the river. The dealer puts out the 4 of spades on the river. He checks it to me one more time, and now I'm feeling slightly uncomfortable. I think he has something like a queen X type of hand that isn't too confident but was fine with just check calling and trying to get to showdown. I didn't know if I should maybe turn my 10 into a bluff or if it was too strong of a hand to be turning into a bluff. I just end up checking it back, trying to take it to showdown. Unfortunately, he does have pocket jack, so he has us just pipped.
Nice hand.
That's 2 in a row where I'm starting to kind of start doubting myself a little bit. I know these aren't egregious mistakes or anything, but it starts to creep in like, oh, am I getting run over by these good pros? So I give myself a little pep talk, put my head down and put some music on and get back in the zone. Now that I feel like I've gotten myself together on break, cutoff opens to 1,500. The blinds are at 500 now, so this is a full 3x open from the cutoff. This guy has been hilarious, by the way, and been talking about certain recreational activities happening on break, so I'm not sure if his play is gonna start to change. I peel the big blind with 10-7 of spades, and we both see the flop of ace 9-8 rainbow with a spade. Flop an open ender, but it does have an ace on board, and when I check it over to him, he bets 2K with only about 10K to start this street. I'm gonna ramp up my aggression. I'm tired of being passive, tired of losing all these pots. I jam it all in. I think I have a lot of fold equity on this pot. He's gonna be c-betting an ace high board a lot and then maybe overfolding to a shove. So he thinks for maybe 20 seconds before finally calling with ace queen. So I was surprised to see him think for a while with such a strong holding, but we get there right on the turn. 6 of diamonds, hardly any sweat. The river is a jack of clubs. We make our straight. We bust this poor guy out of there, but something tells me he's gonna have a good night either way. That player gets replaced by none other than Angel Guillen. He is also a poker pro, married to Lynn Gil Martin, very good player and a very nice guy too. Very happy to meet him in this tournament. I open hijack to king 6 of clubs and Angel makes the call from the small blind. The dealer puts out 10-5-4, 2 hearts and a spade. He checks it over to me. This looks like a pretty meager flop, not much going for this king 6 of clubs hand, so I check it back. The turn is the ace of spades, and when he checks it to me, I start to see an opening here. This is a good card for me. I would definitely check back some ace X holdings on this board. Now that I would hit an ace, I would probably want to go pretty big because of the double flush draws on board, so that's what I decided to do. I bet 3,000 into 3,500. Unfortunately, he comes along, so heads up to the river, which is the jack of clubs. He checks it to me a 3rd time, and so now I have to decide whether I'm going to keep going with this bluff, just a pure airball bluff, or if I'm just going to give up and go take my break. But I'm done giving up. I'm going to fight for this pot. I think he's pretty capped at this point, not betting the turn himself, and I think he'll give me a lot of credit. Just me personally, he's seen that I've been kind of playing good hands at this table so far, so I throw out a bet of 6,000 into 9,500. He doesn't snap fold, but he does eventually put his cards in the muck. He taps the table, says nice hand, and we both go on break. All right, we come back from break with our game face on. Blinds are starting to get big, 800 in the big blind. I have pocket jacks in the low jack position, so I raise it up to 1,800. Cutoff, small blind, both make the call. Justin is in the big blind with about 20 big blinds total and decides to capitalize on all this dead money and rip his whole stack in for 16,100 chips. I'm obviously not folding. With only 24K myself, I jam it all in over the top. The other 2 opponents get out of there, and we see that we're in a flip against King Queen offsuit. The board runs out Queen Jack Deuce. So we flop ourselves a set. The turn is a king, however, so now he's got some outs, but he bricks on the river.
Oh, good game.
The river's an ace of hearts. Not only do we win the flip, but we bust an insanely good player off of our table. So this was a great flip to win. All right, we pick up this next hand where I'm getting check raised on the flop of king 7-6 rainbow. I have 9-8 off. This is a single raise pot, button versus big blind. Big blind hasn't been featured too much in this vlog, but he's that guy who I told you guys was very active early on with a lot of check raises. So when I get check raised again, I'm not going anywhere. I make the call with my open ender. We both see the 4 of spades on the turn. With 13-8 in the middle, he only puts out a bet of 5,700. So I think I'm getting a great price. I'm in position. I could still bluff some river cards if he checks to me. So I make the call, and the river is the 10 of hearts. Boom, we get there. We get there on the river with our straight. He wisely checks it over to me this time. And with about a pot size bet left behind in my stack, I shove it all in, hoping to get a crying call from one of his stronger holdings, but he doesn't take too long before folding, and we find ourselves chipping up. The very next hand, I get pocket tens in the cutoff. I raise it up to 1800 and Angel in the big blind makes the call. The dealer puts out Jack 7-4 with 2 spades, and sometimes I'll check this back once he checks to me, and sometimes I will bet. He already made a comment about how my checking back has really thrown him off, so I decided to lean towards checking this one back as well. The turn is the 5 of clubs. This time he leads out for 1400, pretty small bet. I think if he had like a pretty strong hand, he might go a lot bigger than that on a double flush draw board with straight draws, all kinds of stuff. So when he bets that small, easy call. The river is the ace of clubs, so some backdoor flushes come in. He bets tiny once again, 2500 into 7600. I was really on the fence about this. I was kind of leveling myself back and forth, but I was just like, you know what? These are good players. This is a tiny bet. I just have to take the pot odds I'm given, slam down my call, not really expecting to win, but he announces.
Okay.
He looks a little sheepish about turning over his cards, so I flip over pocket tens.
Oh, but I get the 25.
And the pocket slid my way. We're 4.5 hours into this day and the table dynamic is amazing. Everybody's friendly. I've laughed harder than I've laughed in a really long time at a live tournament table. I was really starting to kind of regain my confidence, buckle down when the low jack opens this one to 2100. I'm in the big blind and call with queen jack of spades on the 9-3 deuce, 2 heart and a spade flop. I check it to him and he only continues for 1500. This guy had been playing kind of straightforward, fit or fold, a little bit on the weak passive side, so I really wanted to go after him with some check raises. This is the perfect hand to do it with. I have 2 overs and a backdoor flush draw. It's going to be really easy to play on the turns because if you hit a card that gives you more equity on the turn, you just continue barreling. So I check raise to 5k, he folds, and we take it down. I've really been amping up my aggression at this table. My image is completely shot, which is the perfect setup for this hand. Hijack is Angel. He opens up to 2k. Button is specifically a guy I've been battling with and showing down bluffs against. He calls. I 3-bet now with pocket aces in the small blinds, so it's the perfect setup. The big blind wakes up and goes all in behind with 29,500 chips, music to my ears. Angel goes all in as well. He calls all in for 19k. Button is out of there. I'm obviously all in.
Oh. Of aces.
All right, guys, I'll fix the pot after.
Aces, ace, king, jacks. Wow.
Gonna be some side
I have my own bag, 6-7 of spades. 6-7 of spades is gonna win. Here's the 6.
Some hearts.
4. Take the 4.
Oh!
Absolute disaster for the 3-way all-in with pocket aces. I mean, I guess it could be worse. I could have got sucked out on. Instead, we chop it 3 ways and I win a measly 1k chip.
No, there should be 4.
I end up stacking the guy to my left anyway, who had the ace-king in that hand. Now we're on to dinner break. All right, first dinner break of the series. Having such a blast at my table. Got Johnny vibes, Angel, a lot of banter. Gonna get back in there, have around 43k. It's been such a roller coaster so far. After feeling slightly timid, I guess I want to say, when I had all these big names at my table at first, I've dropped in, I felt comfortable, I'm in the zone, and maybe I'm attacking a little too hard at this point. Unfortunate with that aces hand that we didn't hold. If I couldn't bust someone, at least it's someone who's super friendly and having a good time with. Gonna eat some food and get back in there. Nothing much happens for about 2 hours. A long haul where it was just me shoving over a couple of opens or taking down small pots. So I'm still hovering around starting stack at this point when the small blind, who is quite the character, raises instead of just going all in. He raises to 5k at 2,500 big blind. I only have 26k to start this hand. I have ace queen hearts in the big blind. I shove it all in. This is what he has to say about that.
Let me explain to you whether you like it or not. Like anybody else, I would definitely do it. Like I would definitely, but because it's you, I don't want to lose you. So I'm gonna fold that. But I'm supposed to call.
Yes, you are.
No, 100%.
I think she wanted to go.
So after all that, he shows deuces, puts them in the muck. You know, sometimes it pays to be a girl in this game. I open ace-king offsuit in the low jack to 5,500 off of a shortish stack. It folds around to the big blind, who's that same guy from New Jersey who does not want to see me bust. He's in the middle of taking pictures of the newest member of our table, Mustafa Knet. He puts his phone down for a moment to make the call from the big blinds. I'm really happy to see a flop with this guy because if he doesn't want to bust me, that's great. Anyway, the flop is the dream. It's ace, ace, 8, 2 clubs and a spade. This guy leads out for 5,500. Not sure what to make of that, but I think it is kind of strong. He's already shown multiple times that he's gonna lay things down to me. I know it's kind of an exploitable raise, but that's what I did. I made it 16,000 go. Music to my ears, he shoves all in for my remaining 48K. I obviously snap call and see that we're up against ace 6 offsuit. So absolute cooler situation for him. And when we turn the king of hearts, we absolutely crush it. There's no way he can outdraw us on the river. And now we have doubled up to finally a decent, respectable stack, getting nearer and nearer to the money. On break, I run over to what I'm calling the new Amazon and sweat one of my friends at the final table of the $600 deep stack. It was such a crazy event. She ended up taking 4th, I believe, for a 6-figure payday. Got to hang out with Katie on the rail, whose shoes were featured in the intro, in case you were wondering. We're about 40 away from the money when I come back to the table. New player opens up the cutoff to 6K at 3K big blind. He only started the hand with around 57,000, so a little less than 20 bigs. I have ace queen of diamonds in the big blind, so I'm just gonna shove this one all in, put some pressure on his stack, but he has pocket aces. He's not going anywhere. It was an exciting run out, but we don't get there, and now we're in the danger zone. Another hour goes by when we're inching closer and closer to the money. We're only 2 away at this point when that same guy who just had aces and I doubled him up busts out. He busts out with only 2 people away from the money in this huge pot. It was kind of crazy. And just like that, we hear the good news.
Congratulations, you have made the money.
So I cashed my very first tournament of WSOP 2022, only 3 tournaments into it, so I'm feeling really good. Now we have this tiny little nub of a stack that we gotta spin up. Unfortunately, we bust out king, queen to ace 10. It's all over, but we do get that first min cash locked up. Looking forward to more. We're into this tournament for $1,500. We're out for $24.05. It's a small profit, but I will take the momentum. All right, you guys, we're on the board. Got the first min cash of the series. Only a min cash, 2,400, but I felt like I had a pretty tough table draw kind of all day, but it's such a fun table. So happy I got the cash in the 6 max. It's such a fun event. I love it. I couldn't believe we cashed so quickly. Now I'm gonna go sweat my friend. She's at the final table in the 600 deep stack. So hopefully she can get a big score. Yeah, this was a super fun event. I'm really excited to kick things off with at least a cash. We're on the board. Let's keep it up. Till next time, you guys. See you later. Bye. Good luck at the tables.